You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer podcast. Let the story begin.
One time for the lovers, two times for the ladies, three times for the brothers, four times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 One time for the lovers, two times for the ladies, three times for the brothers, four times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin. Hold me down.
Welcome to the Minority Trailblazer podcast, and I'm your host, Greg E. Hill, the culture change agent. Y'all already know in this show we interview young, successful minorities in a variety of fields to educate, empower, and inspire our current and future generation of leaders. And I have a show for you today, but let me get a couple of housekeeping things done before I get into the show. First and foremost, thank you for tuning in to another episode and listening. Back to back weeks. It's Thursday, and I'm so appreciative. And I want to make sure I say it at the beginning of the show of you tuning in and listening every single week, referring friends. We continue to grow and grow and grow. We have blown past over 200,000 downloads. I repeat, we have blown past over 200,000 downloads in over 40 different countries. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. It's exciting, all from my idea. So I'm pumped up and I'm excited. A couple housekeeping things. First, make sure you leave a review. If you're listening via iTunes, I'm saying it early in the podcast, make sure you leave a review. Second, I'm excited to announce, as you can tell in my voice, as always, Minority Trailblazer Conference is coming to you in March 2018. So if you're listening, if you want to be in a room, in a space with the energy of people that have past been on this podcast and other new people to learn the strategies, learn the stories, and just being a once in a lifetime experience that I guarantee in a decade or so is going to change the freaking bump the culture, the whole world, make sure you go to minoritytrailblazer.com, join the mailing list, and we will be updating you on the speakers, the schedule in the next couple months as we roll it out. So make sure you go to check out minoritytrailblazer.com and put in your email address for the conference. As well as, please go check out my YouTube channel, Greg Hill TV. Find me on YouTube. Every week I do weekly recaps on the good, the bad, the ugly, because most importantly, when I started this journey, I said, I want to be the most transparent and honest professional speaker, blogger, podcaster in the world. That was going to be my unique niche. I wasn't going to front and be phony, act like everything was straight, like I got every contract, like I nailed every gig, like every podcast just blows up. No. I want to tell y'all the real. So make sure you check me out at Greg Hill TV, where every week I'm bringing you real, authentic content, as well as I post a lot of my keynote snippets too on there. So thank you for that. Also, I want to send a special shout out to my boy, Nicholas Stewart, University of Maryland freshman, man. Sent me a message via LinkedIn and said, I listened to the podcast, man. I'm encouraged. I've been encouraged since January. I'm a freshman, and your tools and tips has helped me take it to the next level. So shout out to Nicholas Stewart out there in Maryland doing your thing. Also, shout out to Kelsey Jones at Spelman College, who's an intern at a TV station, for sending me encouragement as well, because it's just crazy that the freshmen are getting this kind of content. So for my high school students, my college students, my young adults, it's young in the game, man, take advantage of this type of content. It's not only my podcast, but podcasts like Side Hustle Pro, Daily Spark TV, and the list goes on. Dream and Drive, Tiffany Stewart. I mean, there's so many others. And I guarantee I will be bringing more podcasters of color on this show, so y'all can get exposed to more stuff that's going to enrich and empower your lives, okay? So I'm excited about that. So make sure also, if you enjoy somebody's content or you see somebody doing a good job, don't just like the post. Comment, send them an email, share with them how it's impacted, how it's influenced you, because you never know what can come out of it. Because And there's something about being in this space. Sometimes people think you're at such a level that, oh, he probably gets a lot of blah, blah. No. Because, man, that stuff makes people day, and that makes the content more real. And I just want to be able to reach out and touch that. So thank y'all so much for, and I know I just highlighted 2 people, but I get messages all the time via Twitter, via Instagram, via Facebook, via LinkedIn, encouraging. So I appreciate the nonstop positive feedback. Let's keep it going. Let's keep leaving these reviews. Let's subscribe to the channel. Let's get updates on the on the conference, and let's keep it moving, because this positive energy that I'm having, it's just so surreal. But I want to speak on that real quick before I get into the show. And I tell you, we have a phenomenal, I'm not saying it just because I'm the host, but today's episode is one of the best episodes that I've ever recorded. It's the perfect balance between humor, information, story, and just like rawness. But not rawness in a random way, but rawness in just like a organic conversation that you can write down stuff, apply stuff, and just model some things after. So stay tuned for the interview. I mean, we talking about natural hair. We talking about plant-based diet. We talking about in a year's time being able to go on TV like the Roland Martin show, or go to your news and get exposure on your blog after only being around for a year. How to make your skin pop. I mean, all this great stuff from one of the most up-and-coming wellness bloggers in her space. But before I get there, I want to say something, because it's crazy. If you look at your calendar right now, the year is almost over. I mean, not the year is almost over, but the year's been flying past. It's already April. No, my bad. It's May now. It's crazy. It's May. And I feel like just yesterday we just passed the new year, and I want to speak specifically for my guys, or my women, my men, that it's May. You're looking at the calendar and you're like, yo, I'm not where I need to be. I haven't moved forward with my goals or where I need to go. I want to speak to you. And my only message before, because I know this ain't a motivational talk right now, this ain't a keynote, but I'll be remiss, because it's been in my spirit to share that it's okay. Like, it's okay you're not where you need to go. It's okay that you haven't said what you haven't did what you said you was going to do. It's okay. All I'm asking you to do is forgive yourself right now at this moment. Like I said, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm asking you to forgive yourself at this moment, right now, and move forward. That's all I'm asking you to do. Forgive yourself for wherever you're at, your shortcomings, the stuff you said you were going to do and you didn't do, the lies you told, the weight that you haven't lost, the money that you have not saved, the projects that you have not done, the books you have not wrote, the speeches you haven't spoken, all that stuff. Forgive yourself and move forward, and make these last, how many? 6, 7 months phenomenal. Don't worry about the first 5. I don't care. They're done. It's done. It's finito. We're done. But make the rest of this year phenomenal. You still have time. So I'm challenging those. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but somebody that's listening on this line is not being the person that they needed to be this year. And I challenge you to forgive yourself and move forward, because if you do not forgive yourself, it's going to be 2018 and you still going to be stuck in the same place. And nobody that listens to the I Know the Trailblazer podcast will be stuck in the same place, and I had anything to do with it, because I want to live the same type of life and give the same type of energy, where if you listen to me on a weekly basis, you going to be on the next level, all right? That's it. We got to push each other forward. So if anything I can do, or anything any of my guests can do, reach out to them. That's why I'm building the conference. I really want to build a community of trailblazers. Not to say there's not already communities out there, but I want to be the bridge to a community of trailblazers that are encouraging, nourishing, and empowering each other to change the culture. And I mean that with the soul of my heart. The soul of my heart. The soul of my heart. But enough of me. Let me get off that soapbox real quick and let me jump into the show. So, as I told you, this episode, we're turning a new leaf. Last couple weeks it's been kind of male dominated. It's been my boy Dr. Steven Nalsop. It's been Justin Shaver, who delivered a phenomenal podcast last week. But this week I want to focus on a wellness blogger, a person that communicates health issues, style, grace, healthy eating habits. She got me using a tongue scraper, man. All this stuff, man. I'm just pumped up. I'm going to read a snippet of her bio, and I'm going to let this show go. And I guarantee Call me a lie if I said this show ain't dope. I'm putting it out there. Call me a lie if you think this show ain't gonna be dope. I guarantee it's gonna be a legendary one. So she is a DC-based health communications consultant, a naturalista, and a blogger who is passionate about all things health and wellness. For most of her life, she has struggled with Graves' disease and most recently hypothyroidism. Since transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle in 2012, she's been able to successfully manage her condition. She hosts an amazing blog and efforts to help teach women how they can live a healthier lifestyle, as well as become more knowledgeable, health-conscious consumers. Her content ranges from quick health tips to eco and green beauty reviews to plant-based recipes. She possesses a master's of public health nutrition, and she is a certified communicator in public health. She's been featured on the Roland Martin Show. She's been on the news. She's everywhere. And I guarantee in 2 to 5 years, she is going to be the sole dominant force of forces in the wellness space, the vegan space. She's not vegan yet. Let me take that back before I get crucified for the vegan people for Chelsea to jump on me real quick. But the plant-based space. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Chelsea Williams to the Minority Trailblazers podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you already know. It's a crazy how like circles run together. Because I was on Twitter, I think 2 weeks ago, and I think it was Chastity Cooper, and y'all were having like a chat. Because I mean, Chastity, she does amazing things out in the DMV, and I'm like all the cool people on this chat. I said, man, I got to reach out to like 4 or 5 of them because they're doing some amazing things. And I looked at your blog, your content, and it's just so different than stuff that the people I've had on the show. And most importantly, is real health conscious. And I think in this space, in this era, there's a lot of things that we can kind of discuss and really add a lot of value to the people that listen to the podcast. So I said, man, I have to have you on the show, and I'm glad you're here.
Yes, I'm so excited. And I was telling Greg, it's funny, I was listening to I listened to a few podcast episodes before he had invited me on the show. So when he reached out to me, I was super excited. I ran and told my friend, I was like, I'm going to be on the podcast. So yeah, I'm excited.
All right. So as normally, if you're new to this show, we always start the show off with a quote. So Miss Williams, Chelsea, please share us a quote that you love and give us a story about how you apply that quote to your everyday life.
Wow. So this was a tough one, but I think right now the quote that I really love is by Layla Moore. Mm-hmm. And the quote is, "She remembered who she was, and then the game changed."
Ooh.
And it's twofold for me. It's mm-hmm. twofold because I'm a Christian and I'm a believer. And in Romans 8:28, it tells us that we know that those who love God, all things work together for their good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And so, again, when you're going through trials and tribulations, you know that everything's going to work together for your good in the end. So it's almost like a fixed fight. And then also, as far as staying true to yourself and to what you believe in, it's easier for you to ebb and flow through life. And I think to build relationships and get opportunities and meet people, if you just stay true to who you are at all times. I think as far as life, what I've experienced by doing that, so many different situations. I remember when I first went natural, I went 3 or 4 times because I was like, people were telling me, oh, your hair is not, you don't have the right type of texture hair. I don't know why you want to go natural. And family members weren't really that supportive. And so eventually I just went ahead and did what I felt like I wanted to do was the best for my life, of course. Mm-hmm. And then my diet, it's not a standard American diet. And a lot of people don't understand it. But I feel healthier doing it. This is what helps me thrive. And so, yeah, those are just a couple examples.
Yep. And I don't want to start, first of all, quoting scriptures on the quote. I love it. So, I don't want to jump. I don't know I don't know what's the term, the wheel before the cart, whatever, but I just want to ask a couple questions before we even get into the show, because while you were talking, I was thinking like, first, why is there such a divide? Like, why is it such a life altering decision when women choose to go natural? Like, why is it like, well, people have so much stuff to say? Like, I'm just trying to get into a black woman's psyche on this whole juxtaposition.
Yeah, well, I think it's different for everyone. For me, I had never seen my natural hair.
Mm.
Never. Like I think I got a relaxer when I was literally like 2 or 3 years old. So I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. And then other people's opinions, projections, of course, on you. And then I think it's cultural as well. I remember I had a cousin who told me that when I come visit my grandmother, that I need to make sure my hair was straight so I didn't offend her.
Mm.
Right. So I think it's just, again, fear, other people's opinion about what the standard of beauty should be. But a lot of times the people who tell you not to do it are people who are not even natural. They don't know, they can't even speak to, you living the natural lifestyle and that wearing your hair natural because they've never worn their hair natural. So I really think it's projections of fear, honestly, something that they are too scared to do. But what went through my mind, I was like, again, what is my hair going to look like? How do I take care of it? How am I going to look? And then eventually it was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it because I don't have the time to keep messing around with relaxers and weaves and all of that. And so
Yeah.
those were some of my first thoughts. Yeah.
I got you. So let's jump into the show. Can you tell our audience who have never heard of you, some of them that they have never heard and whatnot? So can you just fill us in on kind of who you are and where you come from and like, yeah, that whole story, your backdrop story before, reviewing stuff, before wellness blogging, before all of that. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Wow. I am an only child from Hagerstown, Maryland. This is a small rural town, way outside of the DMV, almost in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Come from a military family. Both of my parents were in the Air Force. Lots of discipline in my family, which is another reason why the natural thing is, kind of frowned upon. I'm a former student athlete. So I played basketball in high school and in college. Mm-hmm. And I'm also an artist. So in undergrad, I studied graphic design and advertising.
Oh.
And I can draw and paint and you name it, any art form, I can do it. Photography, all of that. That's kind of, it's the background of me. I think, how can I kind of try? I'll tell you how I got all started. So I got really sick. So in middle school, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, mm-hmm. and I had that most of my life, and then I turned into hypothyroidism. So throughout college, I was looking for ways to kind of eat healthier, like off and on, but I wasn't completely had given up meat or anything, mm-hmm. like that.
A quick question: could you explain to artists real quick what hypothyroidism is?
So first, hyperthyroidism is when you have an overactive thyroid. So everyone has a thyroid gland and it regulates your metabolism. It's a hormone. It's an autoimmune disorder. Mm-hmm. So when you produce too much thyroid hormone, you can eat and eat and eat, and you lose weight. You're tired all the time. Wow. Your skin changes. It's chronic fatigue. When you have it's an endocrine disorder. Mm-hmm. So you have heart palpitations, so your heart beats really, really fast, just at random times, and you have like enlarged eyes. And there's actually a few celebrities that have this. I believe Missy Elliott had it. Countess Vaughn, she had it as well. So now I have my thyroid's been out of control, so I actually had to have my thyroid gland removed. Oh, wow. So I have, therefore, hypothyroidism. So that's the opposite symptoms. Again, still the fatigue, but you experience lots of hair loss. Chronic fatigue where you're always tired and cold all the time. And some of the symptoms mimic clinical depression. Mm. And it's really hard for you to lose weight. So I could work out, I could eat right, and it'd be hard for me to lose weight. So, wow. At that time, being a student athlete, I was like, how can I, increase my performance, still look the way I want to look and all that. So that's when I kind of started getting to just being healthier, I would say. But at that time, so then after college, so that's when the seed was first planted then.
Okay.
And so then after college, I never found a job in graphic design. I had started my a business where I was making logos, and I really didn't like it, so I shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started working in at a pharmaceutical company.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working with a lot of patients who had MS and Crohn's disease.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, they were calling in trying to get financial assistance for their medication. And I was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to live.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when I decided to pursue my master's in nutrition.
Okay. So the master's in nutrition because of that. So were you working while pursuing the master's in nutrition or school full time?
No, I did both. So I left the pharmaceutical company and worked for an institutional review board. And what that is a board that reviews make sure the studies are ethical and operating properly and all of that. Basically, they run clinical trials.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I pursued my master's full time and I worked full time. So yeah, that was a lot.
Okay. So explain kind of the audience where your transition into the wellness blogging space, because how long have you been in the blogging space?
Not long. So I started my blog just over a year ago. So I started in January 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So about a year and 4 months. And I started blogging because I felt like there was nobody online who was really talking about the things that I was talking about that looked like me. So I said, I am just going to share my story. And so I just really started sharing the things that I liked, some things that I discovered about living with this disease, and also about plant-based diet. And I said, I think it's so important that we share our story. So I just said, I'm going to put myself out there. And I've had a great response so far, which was so surprised about. So
yeah, nah. So before you started blogging and whatnot, did you kind of share your story with friends or whatnot? Like, what gave you the courage to go out there? But also, before you even bought the domain name, was there any courses? Were there any people that you modeled? Because when I look at your site, it doesn't have the aura of a site that's only been around a year, like the way. And of course, that goes a little bit to your background in graphic design and art. So I know you're familiar with what looks good to the eye and whatnot. But I just think the way it's been rolled out on social media and also the display of it is well beyond his years. So kind of take us through the process of building up that confidence to tell your story and also put it online, but then B, the preparation, like what the preparation looked like as far as putting it out there in a representable way.
yeah, wow. So there are lots of people that I followed and modeled and looked after. So from the beginning, when I bought the domain name, I didn't think that I was going to use it for this wellness blog. I wanted it to be a portfolio of my artistic work, and just whatever I was doing, almost like a online portfolio, if you will. And I'll say that I got the courage to do it because I felt like, hey, I don't have anyone that I can really look to that's covering an array of issues. So I'll say this. One of the first people that I did see online was Chef Aki. And I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's a plant-based chef.
Okay.
So I started looking at some of her recipes and things like that. And so I just started sharing kind of like on Tumblr. And then there was another person. Her name is Natasha James. She makes raw vegan treats. Her name is Raw Cells on social media. Raw Cells. So I started watching them and I was like, wow, they're kind of like making these really artsy, colorful plates. And I was like, yo, I need to make something that's very, very. So then I started following Chef Lauren Vanderpool. Her name is Queen of Green. And she has prepared food for Common, Venus and Serena Williams. She's a huge celebrity raw vegan chef. So I knew that when I looked at their food, I was like, this is almost unattainable. I'm not there yet in my
Mm-hmm.
journey, right? So I wanted to provide a platform that had a mix of both, that had a mix of simple recipes and then some simple, some sort of elevated recipes. And then just as far as best practices for blogging, Maddie James from Maddiology.
Oh, yep. Shout out to Mattiology. Shout out to Maya Elias. Had a shout
Yes,
out to
yes,
her too.
yes, both her and Maya. I started watching them online on Twitter and watching them before I even launched my blog. I was watching their Periscope videos. I was just following everything they were doing really and was like, wow. And I'm not a fashion blogger. I'm not an infopreneur, but they still have some really good tips about just how you should automate your content and how you should present your content. And they've really, really influenced the way I do things on my blog. I'm trying to think who else maybe has influenced me. And then also I'm in the green, not just with food, but I'm in the green beauty industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do have an endocrine disorder, I cannot use products that have endocrine disruptors in it. So I can't use the traditional cleaning products or makeup. I can't go to MAC and buy the makeup because they have ingredients that that impacts my health and impact everyone's health, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But so there were some green beauty bloggers on that space. One of them is called The Organic Bunny, Amanda Jo. She has helped me a lot. She was actually kind of brought me under her wing, like from the beginning, as soon as I launched my blog, because she was like, hey, there's no women of color talking about healthy cosmetics. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? So she gave me some tips too.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those, and combined and kind of watching others and then also putting my own spin into it. Again, me having a graphic background and a lot of it too is I don't want to say followers, my readers,
Mm-hmm.
they also gave me some helpful tips too, or they kind of help structure the blog. So whenever someone sends me a request, I really try to put a blog post up about what they're asking. So a lot of the content comes from people reaching out to me or me just seeing people's health behaviors online. Like I wrote a post called "It's Not You, It's Your Cereal" to talk about how bad cereal really is for you, especially some of these commercial cereals. And I was able to do that because I was once a cereal eater. So I pulled not only from my past, but I saw all these people online saying, "Oh, I'm getting snatched for summertime. Let me go get this special K in a baggie. I'm doing this." And I'm like, "Special K is killing you, girl." Like, so then that's when I wrote the post. So I think I just have drawn from my own childhood and the way I used to do things, and then also watching how others, what they do online as well.
Man, there's so much to unpack there as far as being before you even started, really not only finding one benchmark, but finding many benchmarks in your industry, in your space that are, and outside of the space too, to kind of get like to see how it's done. And I tell a lot of people they want to jump into stuff. But if you spend maybe a couple months, I'm not telling you spend years, but spend a couple months really, it just immersed into other people's content, seeing how they pose, looking at their layouts and everything else, that can give you a good inclination on what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's very valuable, as well as using your own experiences, your audience experiences to kind of lead and kind of shape that conversation. And this is where I want to kind of take it. I want to talk about the plant-based diet first, and I have a series of things that I want to gauge about that. Then we're going to talk about self-care and wellness in a section. Then I definitely want to hone in deeper into how you've been able to obtain exposure, because I mean, I've only been out a year and you've been on TV, Roland Martin. I mean, you've been getting a lot of great placements. So I'm like, what in the world? So I know a lot of people that's probably been grinding forever. They probably like, how in this world? So I want to talk about that. And then last but not least, I want to have a kind of real discussion and dialogue about the beauty itself, because I work in the school system, and I think for young adults, but definitely our middle school and high school students, man, the beauty issue and the proliferation of online people in that space to kind of set this profile. But we're going to get that in a second. But now let's jump into plant-based diet. Like, walk us through what that really is, what that looks like, because I know a lot of people listening, like, how does somebody survive and live with a plant-based diet? So kind of walk us through that, first of all, your transition to it.
Okay, so I started my actual transition around 2011, 2012-ish. Um, and at that time, it was around the same time I went natural for like the third time. And I said, I'm sticking with it. And so around that same time, I had to have my thyroid removed, right? So then I was hypothyroid. And I started looking online, trying to find ways that I could heal myself naturally, how I could feel better, because I have to live with this for the rest of my life, and I want to just thrive with it. I don't want my diagnosis to limit me, right? So I'm looking online and I'm watching all these different documentaries. I'm watching Forks Over Knives, Food
Forks over
Inc.
knives. Yep.
Yeah, Forks Over Food Inc. Bananas, talking about the pesticides. People, I guess Dole had their workers were spraying pesticides on all these bananas, and all the workers became sterile. And I'm like, what is going on with our food industry? So once I started doing that, I was like, oh man, it was almost natural. It's like, I don't want to eat this. It's almost like you go to the grocery store and you get mad, like, well, what can I eat? Because I'm not eating this. I'm not. So, and then I started watching about, milk and what people were breaking it down, the steroids in the cows and the milk. I just was like, I'm done with it. So at first I gave up. I never really was a big pork eater. So I gave up pork and I gave up beef. And then I gave up chicken and turkey, and then fish was the last to go.
Wow.
So it was a transition. It took time. So I was vegetarian. Well, I still am technically vegetarian and we'll get into that later. But I stopped eating meat and dairy, and it's been about a year now, about just over a year. No, on my blog is about over a year. So it's been 2 years now, 2 years. Prior to that, I was vegetarian. So, well, you know what I mean? Prior to that, I was eating cheese and eggs and stuff like that.
Because there's a difference between being a vegetarian and plant-based?
Well, so technically, if you are a vegetarian, you can say that you are plant-based. So that's where the terms get confusing. So plant-based is basically just your diet is focused around whole plant foods like fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, you eliminate meat. But some people who are plant-based do eat dairy. So that's where the fine line is. Now, I say that I'm plant-based because veganism, which a lot of people don't know, is really deeply rooted in animal rights and animal activism, and it involves more than just your diet. It involves politics, ethics. And I am not as well versed in that aspect of veganism. So I don't like to say vegan all the time. I'll say a meal is vegan, but I don't like to call myself vegan because I still have products that are not vegan. Like some of my beauty products still have honey in them, even though I try to make sure that they're ethically sourced. Some of my products still, and I still have products that I still own that I have purchased from years ago that are leather. Now I don't buy leather anymore, and I don't buy wool and things like that. But I know that I still have those things around me, so I don't think I'm at the level yet to say vegan, because once you put the stamp on, you say I'm vegan, the vegan community will come out. They will come for you.
Walk out with a leather coat or a chinchilla. They like, what?
They will come for you. Or even if you just use something that has honey, I'm telling you, it's very rooted in animal activism. And so that's why I say plant-based, because I don't want to offend anyone who's vegan, who is really committed to the vegan lifestyle. That's because it's more, vegan is more than your diet. People really need to understand that. So when someone says they're going vegan for 6 weeks so they can get right for the summer, for some vegans, that's very offensive, because you're like, oh, so but you're wearing a Coach bag, but you're going vegan. You know what I mean? So that's why I say plant-based. So those are the primary differences. But I do not eat meat and I do not eat dairy. So I'm plant-based.
So how do you get your protein? Because I know a lot of people ask, especially because I asked my class, like I said, yo, I'm interviewing this person. They looked at your website. They was like, so where does she get her protein at? Like, how is she surviving? So break us down. Like, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your
And this is a misconception. Plants have protein. I'm gonna say it loud one more time. Plants have protein. So mushrooms, sprouts, quinoa, beans. Sometimes I eat soy, fermented soy, and tempeh. There's so many chickpeas. Chickpeas is like a staple in my diet, which I featured on the Roland Martin show. Chickpeas, chia seeds. I mean, there's nuts, seeds, sprouts, legumes, lentils. All of those have protein. Peas, pea protein. So I use because I'm like on a fitness journey right now. So I use like a protein supplement, and it's made from pea protein, which is one of the most easily digestible protein sources out there. It's so good for you. So I know someone's probably going to be frowning their face up when they're like, pea protein.
Pea protein, what?
You really can't even taste the pea flavor, though. It's just it's easy for your body to make use out of it.
Hold on, whoa, pea no, you talking about like peas or pea protein?
No, PEA, like the green little.
Okay. I was like somebody.
No. Yeah, peas. So those are my primary sources. And kale has like more protein. People don't realize kale has more protein than a steak. So
wow.
Kale is big. That's why you see a lot of veggie heads going to their market and taking pictures with kale and kale on a t-shirt. Yeah.
So if you had to share like the main misconceptions of it, what would you say they are?
Of eating this way, or of
eating this way, like of eating a plant-based diet? Because I ain't gonna lie, because when I think of a plant-based diet, I think of somebody that's uber smart, that's uber like skinny, that is like really herbed out. And it just, and I know many of us is listening right now can feel me. They have this image of what it looks like. And I think that hurts, that stops a lot of us for even thinking that we could even be on that level. Cause in my head, I'm like, I couldn't even get to your level as far as you just went down the whole the whole like green leaf discovery. I've never even heard of some of the stuff you said. So it's like, I'm like, do I have to read a dictionary to start a plant-based diet? Like it's so intimidating. So please like demystify it a little bit.
No, you know what? And that I went through those same thoughts when I first started. Because number one, being that I have hypothyroidism, I'm not skinny, right? I'm first of all, I'm 6'1". Oh my goodness. And I'm thick. Okay. I'm not like out here real skinny, small. So, I thought, wow, am I going to fit the mold? Like I thought this to myself, if I put myself out there as a blogger or saying that I eat this way, people going to take me seriously because I don't look like the quote unquote commercial or traditional vegan or vegetarian. But no, it's not hard. I think the biggest misconception is that you have to have a certain look. The big misconception is that it's expensive. Mm-hmm. Right? You're doing too much. You don't need to. There's a certain way that you can eat to cut costs for a plant-based diet. One is when you're making your smoothies and things like that, you buy frozen fruit and stuff. You don't have to eat fresh. Now, ideally, you want to eat fresh, right? Mm. But you can't eat fresh all the time. And the good thing about going to get like frozen fruits and vegetables is that they're flash frozen. So you're actually gaining a lot of the nutrients. They're basically frozen in time. I like to say
frozen in time.
You're getting the nutrients still when you're getting some of that stuff. And I think that people too think that it's really complicated. It's not. They're very simple foods. You don't have to make like what you see, like when you see some of these vegan and vegetarian chefs, they're making some like crazy dishes. No, I eat a lot of bowls. So I'll put quinoa, and the good thing about bowls is that they're very simple. I put quinoa, I put my avocado in there, my tomatoes, my chickpeas, whatever I want, and put my little special sauce on it. And I go out my day. I take my bowl with me to lunch. And as you start over time too, is like you start to follow other people and you start to see what they're doing, and you start researching your ingredients, and you start figuring out the flavor profiles that you like. And that's another thing too, is that I think that people are like, well, going vegan or vegetarian doesn't taste good. Well, over time, your palate changes. So when you start real food, less processed food, you start to develop a taste for those natural, more whole foods. So I think those are some of the biggest misconceptions.
Wow, you hit on a couple things. It's crazy. It brings me back to I Dream of Gyro. I was watching that sushi movie, and they said that the reason why like it's hard to know or to really taste the subtle differences in fine dining if you've never had fine dining before. Like if your palate's not adjusted to that, you're not, oh, this is regular stuff. But as you eat more stuff of that nature, I never knew that your palate can change. 'Cause I mean, I'm just a burger, steak, chicken guy. And what you're saying is kind of news to me there. I thought your palate, I didn't know that changed.
Yeah. So it's just crazy because, your taste buds go through a cycle. So your tongue actually changes. Your palate actually changes. So, yeah, I know. And that's another thing too, is that people ask me, well, how do you not, cheat on your diet, or how do you
Yep.
not
Mm-hmm.
eat certain foods? And I'm like, because number one, it doesn't taste good to me anymore. And number two, I know I'm going to be sick if I eat it. Your whole body changes after a while. I remember when I first started, when I first went vegetarian, and I was vegetarian for probably like 4 or 5 months. I hadn't eaten any meat. And then 4th of July rolled around and there was a cookout. And I ate a hot dog because I was like, there was nothing else there to eat. And I was like, I want this hot dog. I don't care.
Out of everything. You ain't ate nothing in 4 months, and that's the best you can come up with, Chelsea?
Hot dog. I know, I messed up. And when I ate that hot dog, when I tell you I was so sick, I was like, oh no, I'm never again, never am I eating meat again. And that kind of did it for me because, yeah, my stomach was on fire. So,
but the thing is, how do you move in spaces now? Cause like you go to a lot of conferences, you're in a lot of different spaces. So now, like when you go out to restaurants, you go out to eat, where you're with friends, where you're with family, 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, are you just on the sideline just looking sick?
No, one thing is too, so I always have snacks when Beyonce came out with that, what's song? I guess it was Formation. And when she said, I keep hot sauce in my bag swag, I kept putting on social media, I got my vegan snacks in my bag swag, because I don't get caught anywhere without a snack, because I'm not going to fail. You're not going to set me up to eat something that's going to make me feel sick. So that's number one. And number two is when I go out to eat, I ask for substitutions. I try not to go to too many places that don't have options. And then when I'm around family or on holidays, I like to bring my dishes and kind of expose them to some dishes that are meat-free and dairy-free that they'll like. And a lot of my now a lot of my family and friends support me. So when they're gonna have a function, they ask me, "Hey, what can you eat? What can you eat?" So I can make sure I have it here for you. So they've been very supportive. So I think that's really important, is to have a tribe of people around you that are going to support you in whatever your pursuits are. And your diet is one. So
yeah,
it hasn't been as hard as difficult. And with conferences, that's where those snacks come into. But I do call and ask before I go.
love that. And before we jump into self-care, I still got a couple more questions on this plant-based diet. However, you were getting somewhere, and I don't think I've ever asked it on this podcast, and it's kind of jump into our real rap session. But since you kind of already said it, you had a lot of anxiety when you first started because you didn't look the part, in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of people that they kind of don't really put even if they started something, don't put it all the way out because maybe don't look a certain way. Because I mean, you look at certain blogs or whatnot, people may, I don't know how to say it tactfully, but American society has our own perception of beauty. Let's put it out there like that. And I think it's hard for some people to want to be the face of their brand when by some standards they might be overweight, by some standards they might look a certain way. And I think there's a little bit of apprehension. So can you speak to that person out there that is feeling kind of self-conscious of the fact that, man, I may not be somebody else's perception of whatever I'm trying to present. How can I have that confidence to still put myself out there in that space and in that? Because I mean, that's it's kind of always been on my head.
Yeah, you really have to know, again, remember how I said that quote in the beginning. You have to remember who you are, and that somebody out there is going to resonate with what you're saying, what you look like, who you are. It's really not about that, right? Mm-hmm. It's really not about other people's thoughts, but someone out there is going to be like, wow, you were just the person I was looking for. You were just the person I wished that was available to me to talk to, or that I could consult with or look up to. I mean, And I felt the same way. I got to the point where I was like, I'm so tired of people with these same look, the same dark hair, the same color lipstick, the same this, the same that. And I'm like, you just you have to be you, because when you be you and you put yourself out there, when you don't do that, you're not really stepping into you can prevent yourself from stepping into your purpose, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can and so I would just encourage you to step out, be brazen, don't be scared to do it. Because again, someone out there needs the information that you have. So it doesn't matter what type of blogger, if you're a wellness blogger, if you're a beauty blogger, or whatever, infopreneur, someone needs the information that you have to share, and you're really doing them a disservice when you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I would say.
No, I think you hit it right on the head. I think that's perfect. Keeping the focus on that, like somebody needs somebody. It's billions of people in this world. There's a tribe of yours that's looking for a leader like you. But I will say one counterpart as we move on to something different. It's like it is easy for Beyonce and the Sierras of the world to say stuff like that. And some may say it may be easy for you as well, because you don't might not fit the profile, but you, like I said, you look good though. You have the hair, you got that. So it's like, it's easy for certain women to say that, but I always think in my head, it's like, man, it's easier said than done when, say, if you don't look the profile, to say if you wanted to talk about dieting or something like that. But it's like, yo, shoot, I don't know. But I think as long as you are comfortable in realizing of your value and really believing to the core that your information, one, has value, but two, that somebody, like, believing that somebody needs a leader like you.
Yeah, they do. And the thing is, especially when you're in the health world, healthy looks different on everybody.
Ooh, say that again. That's a t-shirt right there. That's a slogan. That's a pillow. Woo!
It does. Healthy looks different on everybody. Healthy, for me, you don't know what somebody's going through behind. Like, if I didn't tell you guys that I had Graves' disease or whatever, you would not know that unless you personally knew me and knew what I was going through and was with me on a daily basis. So, you just have to put yourself out there and don't be scared to do so. Like, just because, like, example, I don't have abs, but I don't eat meat. So I'm not a fitness guru. It's okay. Okay not to have abs. Like, it's okay. This life is so short. And if you're sitting here living in fear, like, you're not only doing your audience a disservice, but you're doing yourself a disservice too. You're not living into your full potential.
Boom, boom. That's the title of the podcast already. Healthy doesn't look the same for everybody. I already got it. Thank you for providing me that. So as we transition to self-care, let's talk. Oh, my bad. This plant-based. Let's go under the plant-based diet or self-care. As far as, does plant-based have any kind of benefit or detriment to your hair and skin? Because did it change a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely did. And that's the thing is that living with endocrine disorder, you can experience a lot of hair loss. And ever since I changed my diet, my hair has never been this long in my life, ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's thicker, it's healthier, shinier. Definitely the texture of my hair, I think, has changed too. Because I used to have, like, really, one of the things when you have an endocrine disorder, your hair gets really, like, hard. It gets very, I mean, not coarse, but hard. So I think my hair is softened a lot more. And then I used to have like lighter hair, which is so odd. But over time, as I changed my diet, my hair actually got darker. So my hair is like black. I don't know if that's weird. I don't know if that's reflective of how I eat. But I definitely think my skin is more balanced too. It's more even skin tone. So it definitely has some good benefits. And then, plants have a lot of collagen in them. That plant collagen, when you're eating a lot of collagen all the time, which is also good for healthy hair and skin and nails and all of that. So.
Great. So as we transition to self-care, my first question is, the term self-care, and it gets thrown out a lot. Self-care, but from your perspective, how would you describe what self-care really is?
I would say it's doing things consistently that make you feel good and avoiding those things that don't make you feel good. I mean, it's as simple as that. So, I know I'm not a clubber. If I go out to the club, I know I'm not going to feel good the next day. I don't like to go to the club. I'm going to be cranky. I don't like to go out. If I eat meat, I know I'm not going to feel good. My stomach's going to hurt. If I feel like I'm living a hurried, rushed lifestyle and I can't do the things I need to do. Like I know, like I recently started running within the past maybe 6, 7 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I don't exercise throughout the day now because I've started this habit, I'm not going to feel good. So that's one of the things I did talk about briefly on Instagram is that I started a new job. And one of the things I negotiated was a longer lunch so that I could go out in the middle of the day and go run or go exercise or do what I need to do so that I could not only feel better, but perform better at work. So it's really just creating a schedule or habits that make you perform your best and feel your best every day.
I love that. I love that. And what were some few tips or a few things that you would kind of share with our audience to kind of have a more happy, vibrant, and like positive life? Because the reason why I asked that, there's certain people that you're around that just have like that different energy, that different zest, and it's just moxie about them. So I know as a wellness blogger, as somebody has been in this wellness, self-care, and just, I don't know what to call it, type of space. Will be maybe some products, some things, some books, I don't know, whatever, to kind of just have that extra bounce to you.
Wow.
I know that's kind of it's direct, but it's kind of broad too.
Some books or some products. I know a book that I really liked was Emotional Wellness by Osho. It's a really, really good book. Or it talks about what it is exactly, emotional wellness, and it's basically how to transform fear and all these negative energies into something positive. So that's a book that really helped me. I'm I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my so that was a book that helped me. Wow, something else. If you are transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle, iron intake is important.
Mm-hmm.
So I take 2 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses every day in the morning to get my iron intake, and that helps me with my energy levels. I think exercise is important, getting out every day. I'm trying to think some other things that I incorporate into my regimen.
Tongue scraper.
Oh yes. Oh my! I got so many. That's the first thing I do in the morning. So, go ahead.
I'm listening because I remember I reading the blog and I was like, Tom, what is a tongue scraper? Like, what is that? Like, and it sounds like something I need in my life. Now, after reading the blog, I feel shameful when I brush my teeth. I'm like, yo, I don't got no tongue scraper. Like, my mouth is just like, oh, you shame me on that blog. I'm mad I even read it now.
Yeah, no, in the morning. So the tongue scraping is important. So whenever you go to sleep and you wake up and you have that morning breath, it's actually bacteria on your tongue and in your mouth. And if you don't scrape that film off your mouth on a daily basis or a regular basis, ultimately that leads to bad breath. And then it impacts your ability to taste food. And so anyway, when you tongue scrape, it actually helps to expel toxins, and helps you to get your digestive. It's an Ayurvedic treatment to kind of get your digestive system rolling and moving. So it gently stimulates your internal organs. So you just take I have a copper tongue scraper, and I literally just before I brush my teeth, I just take this tongue scraper and lightly move it over your tongue and remove that film. And then I go ahead and brush my teeth. And it's crazy how much energy you get just from tongue scraping because your body, like I said, your organs are kind of being stimulated. So it's almost like a wake up. It's like, all right, let me just wake up and scrape my tongue. And that was a weird. I hesitated on putting that post out too because I thought, I know the Black community was going to be like, what is this? What are you doing? What? You're doing what? But then people were like, whoa, I just looked at my tongue and it's white. Ew, how can I get one? Like, so yeah, that's definitely in my dental routine. And it helps you with your cavities too. So it helps you with your teeth. And it's just simple. I'll tell you, when you live a natural lifestyle, it's crazy what the simple things will do to improve your health. So.
Yeah, and after the show, I'll definitely make sure too, if you're thinking about buying a tongue scraper, go to thatchchelsea.com, right?
Yeah, you can go to thatchchelsea.com and just
order on the store. Order on her store, and I'm gonna make sure I order on your store. Seriously, right after this call, I'm ordering it because now I'm like so self-conscious right now because I do the back of the little toothbrush thing, but I feel like, man, it don't be getting where it need to get. It just don't.
Listen, it doesn't. And the thing is, even when you get that quote unquote tongue brush, that doesn't get it. You need a scraper. You need a scraper. I want everybody listening to this, go look in the mirror and look at your tongue. If your tongue is white, you need to get you a $2 tongue scraper. So.
Yep. So that's some great stuff. Also, too, since we're here and you look, it is crazy. I'm profiling you, but you look like a person that knows how to, like, just as far as skin and having that, because I don't know. Maybe I'm male, but there's some, and I know women, they put a lot of fragrances, a lot of lotions on their body, but some people just have that natural organic, like, this smell good, like their skin is just vibrant. Is there any tips for the men out there outside of just having lotion? Because I got good lotion, but I'm like, is this something more natural, organic that I can have just to kind of have that glow outside of like cologne?
I would say get you some whipped shea butter. That will help your skin. Because some people don't avoid shea butter because it's kind of hard, but if you get the whipped kind, oh my goodness. So usually it's mixed with like coconut oil or sweet almond oil or avocado oil. Those oils will have your skin together.
But then I don't want to smell all coconutty though. That's my only thing, because it's like,
I smell coconutty. But for men, there is a company called Good Medicine, and they sell like unisex, like natural, quote unquote, natural perfume. They are natural, but natural sprays and fragrances and things like that. So I would try them, and then I'm going to look up the other company for men. I can't remember off the top of my head, but for the women, Tisla Organics. So it's spelled Tisila Organics. They sell natural fragrances as well. It's like one of my favorite perfumes to wear. It's made from like flower extracts and plants. It's a plant-based perfume. Okay, hold on. Actually, here goes the company for the men. 1 second. It is.
it's all
Here
good.
it is. It's Village Commons. Village Commons. They make spray cologne for men, and it's all natural.
Wow. So first of all these links will be in the show notes. So thank you for dropping all these jewels. I know my people are going to be just typing away for that. So, let's transition to getting exposure. Like I said, you've only been in the blog game for a year, really, in the space, but you've been able to get some very, very great media placements, in general. So how have you been able to kind of get that type of exposure? Because I know a lot of people out here that are listening, they have their own blogs, they have their own profiles, and they're like, golly, that's pretty cool. You've been able to. So how, like, what's your strategy on getting there?
Wow. So to be honest, as far as my TV appearances, the producers came to me. I'll say this with Instagram, please don't turn your nose up about answering DMs. I know people are like, don't DM me in their bios, like, don't DM me, email me only. Well, you're closing yourself off to a lot of opportunities because a lot of these media professionals, they don't have time to sit and draft up a well thought out email to you. It's like, hey, I think you would be great on this segment. Are you interested? If so, here's my info. Like, people are missing stuff because they're not checking their DMs, or they're closing themselves off, or they turn their DMs off to their Insta stories, which is really important. Because both of my TV appearances that I had recently came from a direct message on Instagram.
Wow.
So I would say
through
that
the DM?
Through the DM, because I didn't think it was legitimate, because I was on vacation back in my first appearance. Oh wow, I was on vacation in March, like late February, early March, and one of the producers DM'd me, and I was like, I don't know. He only has like 12 pictures on his Instagram. They were segment pictures, but I was like, I don't know if he's trying to scam me. And I said, well, he sent me his email, and it had, I think it was WJLA, or it had the appropriate ending. And I was like, I still didn't believe it. I was like, okay. So then he followed back up with me via DM and said, hey, I haven't heard from you. You haven't emailed me. Are you still interested? Or let me know. So then I was like, oh, okay. So then I really went and looked him up, and I was like, oh, he's actually working for the station. Let me email him right now. Like, then I started to panic, like, oh my gosh. am I looking like I'm not responsive? Like, what do I need to do? So, but yeah, ever after that though, what I did do is go through producers on Instagram. So a lot of producers in your area, whatever the station is, their Instagram handle will start with producer underscore such and such, or producer will somehow be. So I went through after that, and I went through every producer basically in the DMV and was like, hey, I was just recently on Good Morning Washington. I think I could come present this to your audience over here on whatever, maybe news, Fox 5, Good Morning, DC, or whatever. So that got some response as well. So I would try that. Shoot your shot, but I sent them an email. Another good tip is that I use Streak CRM. Streak CRM, which is a Google plugin that you can use in Chrome. So on your Chrome browser, and you can actually track when people open your emails, when they read it, where they read it at, what city and state they were in, whether or not they used a mobile device or a desktop. It tells you everything. It tells you.
What is that called again?
It's called Streak. STEAK CRM. It's free. And you track your emails that way. So that helps you with your follow-up, because follow-up is so important when you're trying to get these placements. And you want to make sure people received things. So if I see someone hasn't received something in a few days, or if they haven't opened it in a few days, I will send them a follow-up, or I will DM them or say, hey, I sent you this 3 days ago. Just want to confirm you received it. I didn't get a response from you, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That really, really helps. What'd you say?
No, I'm just saying, you're real, because all I know is I know, because I'm horrible sometimes at communication. It Chelsea, if I didn't respond in a day, she would inform me, but like, Mr. Hill, so it's funny. I just live into it.
I was on Greg, but I do that, and it's not, and don't take it personally.
No, that's good though. That's good.
It really helps you, because it helps you keep track of what you can go in and put little actions for yourself. It's a really helpful tool. Another thing is, I cannot say this enough, or emphasize this enough. You have to have some type of kit, a press kit. It doesn't matter what size blogger you are, because I'm not really a huge blogger. Like I'm not at 10,000 followers, but I'm still able to get big campaigns because I know my numbers. And that's something that I learned from Maddie, is to get that kit together, because that kit not just helps you when people. Because sometimes people will come to you and they'll ask you for something, but you can counter with your numbers. So with your analytics, when I say your numbers, I mean your analytics. So how many unique page views do you have? Who is your audience? What is your target audience? What are you trying to promote? What is your mission? Do you have a mission and vision for your site? Because that keeps you consistent. So you send them your kit, which may sound basic, but that helps you negotiate. Because I had a brand who reached out to me and they wanted me to do something for free. And I kind of was like, well, this is what my rates are. Take a look. And they were like, well, we're still a small company. We don't think we can pay you. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have the band. I'm sorry. I really like your company. I just don't have the bandwidth to take on an unpaid project at this capacity at this point. So then it took them like a week, and then they came back and said, okay. So you have to call people's bluff. So when you have your numbers together, I think that helps. As far as exposure, I reached out to some influencer marketing agencies. Mm-hmm. So they're free, but you need to check with each person's terms. Some marketing agencies don't want you to work with other marketing agencies. Most of them, they're fine. They don't care. But it's free for you to join. You literally go online, you create a profile, and they send you campaigns. They'll say, hey, are you interested in this? This is how much it's paying. Yes or no, basically. And if you say yes, or they'll send you a creative brief. But if you say yes, then they'll say, okay, well, we need you to post it by this time. Here's the product. And then they pay you that way. So that's really helped me too, to get some of these larger campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Trying to think what else. Yeah, I think those are the big three. You've
given a lot of value right there.
Okay. Let me stop.
No. You good. No, that's phenomenal. Like I told the beginners of podcast, I mean, I think this has been very, very, very well rounded in story and fun, but also a lot of stuff that people can immediately take action on and use with their own brand. So I just thank you for being so transparent and helping out with in this space. So I did want to ask too, how have you been able to balance? Because I mean, you do so with social media, and I know social media probably takes a lot of time because I see you lot hashtags very well. But then you have meetings, you have your you have your own job, you have life, and you know the maintenance of a blog, especially a well marketed blog, it's a lot. So what is your tools, or if you had to give a couple tips to just balancing all that, especially being a beginning blogger that you have to put content out.
Yeah. I make a very strict schedule for myself. And I don't beat myself up if I don't stick to it. But I do schedule my time. So I literally go on my calendar and I'll block off X amount of hours to write a blog post. One thing that I do is typically on Saturday mornings, I get up in the morning and I shoot all my content for the week. So if it's a product photography, if I'm doing a campaign or a sponsored post, I will get up and I will shoot every product that morning, or I'll do it on a Friday night. Usually natural light is better, so I really try to do it on Saturdays. And then I will spread that content out over a course of 2 weeks. So that really helps me because I can't be everywhere at once, you know, so I can't come home and shoot every day. So I will go to like a craft store, like Hobby Lobby or whatever your local craft store is, and I will get the products and I will switch them out, swap them out, move them into different places in my home to make it look like it was taken in a different place or at a different time on a different day. That really helps.
Do you take your own photos, like the auto shoot? You have somebody that takes the photos for you. I've always wanted to ask that question that people that look so cool and on Instagram, like with the whole picture space and like taking cool pictures of themselves. Because outside of speaking on the stage, I'm like, God, man, how can I be like that when I grow up? So is it like an auto click, or you have somebody that follows you around and takes all those pictures?
No, I have a photographer, willpowerphotos.net. He's another photographer here in the DC area. He takes a lot of my photos. And then also I take some with my iPhone, honestly. Natural light is so important. Like you can get some really high quality photos if you just use natural light. Like can I say it again? Please use natural light, because a lot of these photos look so grainy, and it's because they're either at night or you need to be by a window somehow.
By the window,
shooting out the window. Be by the window.
Shooting out the window.
Yeah.
Is that a term?
No, I'm sorry. As you get to know me, I'm the type of person I automatically think about songs, like when I say certain things. So that made me think about this song. I'm jumping out the window. I'm jumping out the window at this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm asking about shooting out the window. Okay. I'm sorry.
Out the window. That's a good t-shirt too, man. You gotta rewatch. You gotta rethink. You gotta re-listen to this podcast. I mean, you gotta allow some products, some catchphrases, some keynote inside of this thing.
I'm sorry. I feel like I've been all over the place today.
This is all value add. Like I'm telling you, this is one of my most informational well-rounded podcasts of season 3. Like, so continue dropping jewels on in this space. Oh, I don't know if I'm cutting you off, but I know that you had a post as we kind of transition into the next round, though. But I know you had a post about legal counsel and why it's important, and I haven't really thought about that. So why do you say for bloggers having legal counsel is that important?
Oh my gosh. So I didn't realize how important it was until, I follow Shay M. Lawson on social media. Again, Periscope be dropping. People on Periscope drop some real lessons. Okay. So I started following her on Periscope, and she's an attorney, and she works specifically with like influencers in the entertainment industry. And when I met with her, I said, oh, well, I was interested. She said some things that you needed. Like she did a session one day, was saying that you need to have a terms of use for your website, like the way people can use your photos or use your content or how they use your blog. And I was like, wow, right. When I do go to other websites, I do see at the bottom a terms of use somewhere. So that kind of piqued my interest. And so I ended up reaching out to her for a consult. And she asked me, hey, can you send me a copy of your terms of use, your current privacy policy, it was some other language too. And I was like, I only have like one of these. This is what I have. Like, what? I was like, whoa, I did not realize that. Like, you need a privacy policy for your website too, because most blogs collect cookies. You have to tell your audience somewhere on your website that you're collecting their cookies when they visit your website, which I had no idea about. That's super important, super important. You just want to make sure that you're putting all this time and effort and energy into your photos, into your content, into your business, and you just want to make sure it's protected. That's ultimately why you want to make sure your business is protected, you're protected, your brand's protected, because it would be really hard if I would take it really hard if I put all this work in and my stuff was not protected some way, somehow. It's like, you might as well just flush it all down the toilet. So I learned a lot from Shay. I definitely would check out her as well. Trying to think what else. I'll say this for bloggers too. When you start to work with larger brands, I think it's really important for you to go ahead and get in, and Shay may say something else, or your attorney or whoever, but to get an LLC set up. I had already had an LLC set up before I went to her, but a lot of these bigger brands don't want to pay you the bigger dollars if you don't have an LLC. So it helps if you already have an LLC established. So that way, when they start offering you money, you can go ahead and send them, your tax information. That helped me too.
Okay, wow, man, so many to do. Thank you for all that. And briefly, what is your number one thing that helps you stay consistent? Because I know you're in the game, and a lot of people after a year after a couple years, it's just hard to really stay consistent. So what is your key, and what is your key going forward to keep you stay consistent on the route you're on?
What pushes me to stay consistent is people asking questions and leaving comments and saying, hey, this was really helpful, or wow, I had no idea this existed, or I tried this recipe and I loved it. I tried this product and I loved it. I tried this tip and it's helped me feel better. That's what really pushes me to keep going. And to stay consistent, because people, in the beginning, even if people weren't saying that, I would still want to do it because I would know somebody was reading, right? But that really, I'll be honest, that really encourages me to keep going, because when people tell me that they had never heard of something that to me seems like it's so, I guess, something that I don't want to say basic, but something that I've been doing for years that people have never heard of, is every time that shocks me. So I'm like, yo, people need this information. So that really keeps me motivated to stay consistent. That's the top thing, is that blogging is not about me. It's not about me time. Even though I share my personal stories, it's not for my own self-fulfillment. It's really to help others. It's a way to pay it forward and to tell people about things out here that I wish I would have known about years ago. That's what's helps me.
Yep. And also, public service announcement. If you follow a blog, you follow a podcast, you follow somebody that you love their content, please make sure you send them a tweet or video or whatever or email letting them know that you like their content. I think a lot of people, if you look like you maybe have a lot of followers, a lot of people that love your content, they're like, well, they wouldn't, if I like the content now, they wouldn't notice if I said thank you or I love it. But it does something when you publicly acknowledge somebody that's putting their life, their time, their effort into giving out content. So just please make sure you tip the waiter. tip the waiter out here.
You never know what will happen from that, because I have commented on other bloggers that I feel like, oh, I could never be like, this is before I started blogging. I could never be like them. I could never have my own platform. I could never. And I reached out to them, and now we're collaborating. Like I'll give you an example. There's a blogger named Sweet Potato Soul. She's a vegan blogger. And we ended up meeting because I went to a conference last year, met her. And then now we just did a Twitter chat together. And this is someone who I thought was unreachable, that I would never, ever talk to, meet in life. So when you tell people how much you appreciate them, you never know, that can always turn into a collaboration. This happened to me a few times. Is for me saying, hey, I really admire your work. And they will never even know I existed. And they'll be like, wow, who is this person? and they go and look at your work, and they're like, I admire your work. Why don't more people know more about you?
Mm-hmm.
And the partnering and collaboration helps you, because that cross collaboration will help you increase your visibility too. If you're a blogger trying to, get your numbers up, that helps you. That cross collaboration is so important.
Man. This you're dropping some jewels that people pay a lot of money to pay for. So thank you again. All right. So difficult questions, real rap session real quick. And this is something near and dear to my heart, because I know I teach high school, and I have a lot of high school young women that majority of their day is spent on Instagram, outside of just, I don't know what they do all day on Instagram, but it's Instagram, Snapchat, and they follow and identify with a lot of celebrity women on Real Atlanta Housewives, and a lot of people that in Hollywood, the women that look a certain way. And as well as they follow a lot of natural or hair people, beauty bloggers and whatnot. So this question is, in essence of now online, that you have these far out reaches of beauty at times. How do you kind of find that balance of promoting that, but also promoting like loving your self-image where you're at? Because some students, like I said, come from unfortunate circumstances where, I mean, it's so far away that they may not value themselves as much. And now today, we live in a society where you can see what houses other people in. You can see what shoes that you don't got, especially for people that are young. If it affects adults, imagine these middle schools and high schoolers that all around you see all this stuff. So what's your take on this whole, the essence of what beauty is now, and what do you feel your space is as a blogger in that space?
I will say that part of it is the beauty industry's fault, especially in I'll say green beauty, which is basically the healthy cosmetics, eco-friendly community. There's not a lot of makeup out there for women of color in that space. A lot of brands who cater to us, and I think partially, in a way, these companies are telling us that we don't matter, right? That we don't deserve this type of beauty, or we're not beautiful. We don't need to elevate our beauty in any way, like enhance or anything like that. One thing, so that I'll say that. Another thing is, get offline. You have to get, that's the thing, is like when you start watching, like literally I don't spend nearly as much time online as I used to. Because I automate a lot of my stuff, but when I say online, I mean, I don't spend my time scrolling and watching so much. I have to watch me. And when you watch yourself and you pour into yourself, that makes you feel better. When you go learn a new skill, when you go to a new store, when you start having experiences, I think your mindset shifts about what's really important. Look, beauty fades. I mean, the Bible, I'm sorry, I live by the Bible, and I practice.
No, you don't gotta say sorry. No, we good.
I don't want to say sorry, but I hope I'm not offending anyone who don't have these same beliefs. But beauty the Bible tells us beauty is passing. This stuff does not matter. I mean, in the grand scheme of life, what does you having a beat face, what does that matter? So you have to, what makes me feel good from the inside out, and I try to encourage everyone else to do this, is to learn something new, perfect something, like gain a new skill, teach somebody something, help someone, go volunteer. Those things make me feel like, wow, I did something. That I think that helps you radiate from the inside out. When you feel purpose, when you feel like you're helping someone else, those things to me are beauty. But these girls have to get offline, stop scrolling, because when you're looking at what this person's doing, what that person's doing, that person's not looking at you. I guarantee they're not. I guarantee they're not scrolling. Worried about you. Stop worrying so much about them. You have one life, and you should spend as much of your time trying to fulfill your purpose and to pour into your own life, into your own beauty. And you have to figure out what makes you feel beautiful too. If going to go for a run and coming back, I see these shirts all the time. I'm most beautiful when I'm running, something like that. Something that empowers you. I think that helps. But
no, I like that nugget. I like that nugget. And last question in this section is, what if you had to create a program to that would benefit like middle school through high school students, specifically in like African American ones, to help especially young girls, what like to take better care of their bodies and their emotion, that whole wellness space? Like, what do you think some key components would be?
I think diet is one. I would definitely have a nutrition piece because if you don't eat feel good foods that make you feel good and make you feel energized, you're not going to be able to get through your day and do all the other things. As far as, I mean, diet is a big thing. Diet makes you feel good and makes you feel more awake. It makes your skin glow. It makes your hair longer. It makes that when you eat right, that helps you become more naturally beautiful. I think affirmations are really important. I love to journal, and whenever I'm feeling something, I write it down. And it's funny how you'll go back and look 2 days later, and you're like, "Yo, I was feeling that way." Like, no, actually, no, that is not like. So that's not reality, and feelings are not facts. And so I definitely would think affirmations are important to me. So definitely have that component. Affirmation can be used for anyone. That's the good thing is even if you're not a religious person, you just saying I can you empowering yourself. That's really important. Trying to figure out how can I empower myself without anyone else. I think you can do that with affirmation, self affirmation. Wow, what else? Exercise important would be the exercise piece. There would be some type of physical activity portion. So whether it be aerobics or weights. I think weightlifting is important, especially as a former, athlete. I started lifting weights in high school, and it just helped me gain more confidence in myself. So I think those are what I would include in the program.
Yeah.
What else? It's a lot. This is a deep question. This is like
No, it is because I see it every day, and specifically the people that honestly are live in poverty, like the women that they don't look like they live in poverty as far as the Jays and all this other stuff, but they live in poverty. So and then their diet consists of, you'd be surprised, Zaxby's, Bojangles, it's all red dye stuff. Eating hot fries, all this stuff. That's all they really consist of. And I'm like, what in the world? There's no way that that's why some of them, they spew so much negativity because all they're eating is crazy. It's a lot. When you're eating the wrong foods, or you really don't exercise outside of walking the halls when you're not in the class. It's just a lot of different things. So I hope, and my prayer is that more people like yourself in those spaces. Of course, that's not your key demographic. That's not the space, but hopefully that, as much as possible, be or be a presence in those schools, or have some type of program, maybe quarterly or yearly or something, because there's a lot of young women that are, especially in DC, definitely, and all across the country, that just need some help on that self edification piece. But yeah, that's either here today. It's not a podcast for that, but I always, it's just really troubling to see so many young women of color that are living in poverty, but that they just can't really take those necessary steps to just have a better self-image.
And that's something that I actually am trying to work on as far as budget, how to eat healthy on a budget, how you can eat healthy with very limited dollars. Another thing is I will add this. I would like there to be that program where they can learn how to grow their own food, because that's something we need to, is that you can have an urban garden at home and you don't have to buy your food. That's food deserts are real. And so I definitely understand that. So I think that, I would like to include that too. Something to teach them how you can eat. You don't have to eat Zaxby's. You can get a can of beans for $1. You don't have to get.
You come into my classroom talking like that. Guys, put down your wings and zings and get you a can of beans for $1. They were like, you cute and all, I like your hair, but you gotta get out of here with all that stuff. Like, I don't know, great Mr. Hill, I don't know who you just Skyped in, but
No, I totally get it. And we should talk offline about that. We need some programming for that. So some real strategy, because I think that's a good idea. It really is.
Yep. And And with that, this is kind of like a new segment kind of way, and I'm gonna find out a way as I go through next episodes, kind of roll it out a little bit better. But the new segment, real quick, is like it's called like what's the first things that comes to your mind, and I'll ask like 5 things, and you can just jump to kind of what the first thing, maybe a story, maybe a person, I don't know, but things that come to your mind with this. All right.
Okay.
First, diet. The word diet.
Plants.
Why? Just because that's your space you're in.
You just asked me the first thing that I thought about. So that's what I'm thinking. Like that's what I'm talking rapid fire. That's literally the first thing that came to my mind.
But energy.
Shift.
Beauty.
No standard.
Self-love.
Self-care.
Wellness.
Positivity.
Food.
Wow. I literally, my mind went straight to tacos.
Oh my God, no, tacos, not the plant-based. Is there plant-based tacos?
Yes. Yep. You can make it with walnut meat or mushrooms or Beyond Beef, which is a meat replacement. Yeah.
Yep, and I'm gonna use your quote that I've heard you say. You can't be a slave to convenience, because this whole podcast I've been thinking, like, how much time does she spend on freaking making food? Like, it doesn't there's no pop-up shop of plant-based stuff. So I feel like I don't know how you have time to even live when you're creating this plant-based stuff. So I know I didn't ask this at the beginning of the podcast, but and you're gonna say, well, it can be done conveniently and fast. Give us the honest, raw truth on how much time it takes for you to consciously be a plant-based eater.
It doesn't take a lot of time, to be honest. It really doesn't. I'm gonna tell you why. In the mornings, what takes longer is making all these pancake, eggs, grits, bacon. That's what takes a long time. But in the morning, you usually have a smoothie. So I just literally, my produce is washed. So that's one thing I do on Sunday evenings. I'll take about 30 minutes. I'll take all my produce and I'll wash it. So I'll soak it in apple cider vinegar, because I try to buy organic, but I can't buy everything organic. So when you soak it, it helps get the pesticides off the produce. So I do that, and I chop up my food. And so during the week, I can just throw my smoothie bags into the blender and go. And I do most of my preps. And like I said, I eat mostly out of bowls. So I will bring my quinoa and you know how you see people online meal prep and they have their rice, they have their protein, they got their string beans or whatever else they're doing. Mm-hmm. I do a similar thing, but I just make it with no, it's vegetarian or vegan or whatever. I would say maybe I spend probably about maybe an hour and a half on a Sunday evening, and then again probably on Wednesday evening, because I have to do it twice a week. Because my food, that's the thing about eating plant-based, is your food expires quickly. So I can't come back and eat my steak from 4 days ago. You know what I mean? Like, which is telling you something. If your food can last that long, that's kind of a problem. So I say in total maybe 3-4 hours a week in prep. Mm-hmm. For me.
But how much do you eat though? Like, don't you have to eat a lot? Because I remember I tried to eat. I was eating 2-3 salads a day, and I was starving the entire day. I was starving.
You do have to eat a lot, but what we call it is what Chef Aki calls it a bass, which is a big bleep salad. Yeah. A huge one, So I do eat a lot. So most people, like, I'll put an avocado in there. That, quinoa keeps you full. Kale. I'm eating chia seeds. You have to make sure that your salad is not just full of cucumber, like water-rich. You want water-rich vegetables too, but when you get a lot of water-rich stuff, that you'll be hungry in 30 minutes. So you need sort of hummus. Hummus is chickpeas, so that gives you your protein. It makes you feel fuller too. I make sure I keep that stuff on. I put sea vegetables. Oh, don't laugh. Somebody laughed.
Sea vegetables. Whoa. Sea
vegetables. So I put sea vegetables on my plate. So that would be kelp noodles, something else I was going to say. I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, you nori, that's what it is. Nori, that gives those are iron rich vegetables that you and they keep you full. I add those to your nuts, pine nuts. You can't just eat spinach, cucumber, and whatever else you put on there. And get a carrot and tomatoes and be done with it. You have to really make hearty salads. Um,
Man, this is your wealth of knowledge in this space is very, very. It's just because I definitely think there's definitely if, I don't know if you when you expand or kind of what you offer as far as like just advice or plans and all this other stuff. But whenever if that's the lane you ever end up going down, definitely just man, I wouldn't know where to start. I just thought I was eating salad. That's just half the battle. There's a lot more levels to this. Now this podcast is just let me know the levels to as far as eating and levels to what's out there as far as access. So I definitely thank you for enlightening us all on this whole new journey.
yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for allowing me to share.
All right, so our before our culture change round, I do have to ask questions about the future. So, what's next for you personally? What can we look forward to as far as that's Chelsea in 2017 and kind of beyond? Like, what's next?
Hmm. Well, what's next? I'm this Sunday. Well, I'm not gonna say this Sunday because this podcast will probably be gone. But so on May 8th, I am going to be back on Good Morning Washington for Meatless Monday. So I will be teaching you 4 different ways to incorporate edible flowers into your dishes just in time for Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to be speaking at a retreat here in the DC area on July 15th. And it's called Holistic City Lifestyle. So please be on the lookout for that because I'll be posting about that. But it's for anybody who is wellness curious. So you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian or plant-based. It's anyone who wants to enter the wellness space or to learn more about wellness will be able to attend that event. So those are the 2 top things that I'm working on right now.
Okay. We'll definitely all the show links and everything will be in the show. And where do you see where do you see yourself in the future with and you don't got to release too much, but in the future, like where you want to take your brand and what you offer and everything and of that nature?
Yeah, I haven't released it yet and I haven't really talked much about it, but I definitely wanted to put out some type of ebook with either recipes or some type of nutritional guide. So people can figure out what the heck can I eat on a daily basis, especially for those who are working in corporate America like myself. So I think that will be next. And
I'm talking about I mean, I like that, and I'm definitely gonna be on the lookout at that. But as far as like big picture, like when you started this, I know you don't gotta share too much, but I know you had a plan. Like maybe in 5 years, or I want to be like the king of this space, or queen of this space, or be doing like or like where do you kind of see yourself in the lay of the land?
man, so since I've wow, that's tough. I haven't even because this is so new to me. I haven't gotten that far ahead yet, but I will say that since I have started making my own food and learning more about food, that I've really developed a passion for cooking. And so I would love to one day to become a vegan chef. Down the line, that's something I would love to do and to host like workshops, cooking workshops, so people can come in and learn. And then also, once I become certified vegan, try to open up some type of space to help other people become certified vegan chefs as well.
Got you. And keep that innocence though. Keep that like I don't know, because that keeps you seriously. That keeps you. I mean, from my end, that keeps you focused on like the day to day, like doing what you've been doing and creating the buzz and esteem that you've been able to. Because unfortunately, some of us, and I including myself, when I first started, I was so out there, and I've been able. God has blessed me to have a certain modicum of success with the podcast and with speaking and books and stuff like that. However, sometimes I kind of downplay that and don't be in the moment because I'm thinking like, yo, I'm trying to be one of the best speakers in the world. I'm trying to get a New York Times bestseller. And I don't think about that as much as often now. But when you have that first innocence, like this is cool. I mean, I'm just blessed to be able to be on a podcast. I'm blessed to get featured on TV. But when you become numb to that, that's when it's like, okay, that's when it gets weird. But keep that innocence.
Thank you. I will say this: you're definitely a good speaker. When I heard you on your podcast, I was like, "Wow, I need to take some classes."
But but what you share with this podcast, I mean, you have there's definitely a gift in there. And honestly, at the end of the day, one thing I realized about the whole speaking thing, it ain't about unless you're preaching, it's not too much about oratorical talent. It's more so about what you're saying. If you're saying true stuff, if you're saying real stuff, I don't care if you're saying mundane, monotone, whatever. If you're saying real stuff, then the world now, with so much fluff going around, so much fake news, the people that really say stuff that they really do know and they're confident, they have stuff to back it up, then you're good.
Yeah.
So our culture change round, last round of the show, rapid fire. I asked a series of 5 questions and you give me rapid fire answers. And then we got last culture change question. Then we got the show. You ready?
Yep.
And I know I talk really, really fast. And you're like, okay, I was like, you like ready? Like,
and I talk really, really slow. So.
That's one thing. I don't know if I'm going to, at the end of the day, mix that up because I sometimes intentionally, I know specifically because I just get excited. When I'm get excited, I speed up. But Brenda Bouchard, one of the best models in this space, he is faster talking than I. So that's what encouraged me not to slow down for the most part. But the first question is, what's the best piece of advice that you have never received?
I think be fearless. I never heard that until I had already gotten older and experienced it. That's what I had to do in order to get what I wanted in life. I wish someone told me when I was younger to just be brazen and to do what I love and to do it fearlessly.
Yep. I love that. If you could add one habit and take away one habit, what would it be? What would they be?
One habit, I would love to incorporate. I would add yoga would be one habit I would like to add back. Practicing yoga every day because that's something I used to do years ago and I never got back to it. If I could take away one habit, I would think that I'm very hard on myself, so I would take that away.
Love that. What is your favorite book and why?
My favorite book is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. And I think that book really reflects the thought behind why people have like this self-hate about them and how we can overcome that and break through it.
Love that as well. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. And what would you say is your biggest fear?
God.
I love that. Claps. If you were the president of the United States, what's the first thing you would do?
There's so many issues. I'm not sure. That's a really tough one.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be something around healthcare. Having everyone being able to have access to quality healthcare is so important. It's bigger than just having a plant-based diet. It's bigger. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than the ingredients in your hair products. Access to affordable quality healthcare is big. So I would have to get in and strategize some initiative to make sure that everyone had access to healthcare and good healthcare and really truly affordable healthcare.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Even though it's like you can have access to it, however, if you're not knowledgeable enough to use it, then that's when. Because I know a lot of people, and certain, not even just black people, but if they're sick, they don't go to the doctor. They're just like, well, I'm gonna hold it down, I'm gonna figure it out, and then all of a sudden they might have cancer, something crazy, and it's just, and even people that want to start businesses, they might have access to pay courses, access to people that have more information, but how many times do they use it? Like a lot of people that probably maybe the same idea you have access to the same amount of people, the blogs and whatnot, and the resources and the models that they can transition off, but a lot of them still haven't even bought the domain. So that access thing, man, I can preach on that right there, but there's a difference between access and actually utilizing the access. And I think that's the core issue of just everything. I mean, there's access. I don't want to get on that rant.
This is very true. You're making a good point.
And I know I have my last question about the society, but I'm remiss because I didn't ask this former question at the beginning of the podcast. I know we're running short on time, but the question about one of the biggest challenges, and you can answer this. One of the biggest challenges that you went through, and the key lesson that you learned from it to kind of help you to be who you are today.
So I won't go into it too much, but in undergraduate school, I was in an abusive relationship, and I was able to get out of that relationship. And I learned a lot from that. I learned about myself, about how strong I actually was. I learned a lot about mental health and not being afraid to ask for help. And I overcame it by asking for help. And I think that really helped shape me as a person. It helped me see a perspective of life and what people go through, and why behind people, the psychology behind why people do certain things that I would have never known whether or not I had gone through that experience. I think that was the biggest thing. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, that helped me shape the way I see where I was then, and I see where I was now, and see how when people are online, like, why don't people just love themselves? Like, why do people let things like this happen, right? And it helped me be able to, which I have done before, but it helped me be able to frame these conversations when I do speak, because I do speak on some mental health issues. I've done that in the past. Speak about, see things from a different perspective to help people who are in a situation like that. Yep.
I love that. I cringe when I catch myself saying it, or when I hear others use like really banal generalities about certain things, like why do people do this and that. And I think it goes back to a quote you said earlier in the podcast that healthy looks different on everybody. Having just because like somebody may look healthy, they got the 6-pack, they got that, but that doesn't mean they're healthy. And somebody may look unhealthy, and really it's healthy to them. That is where they need to be. You don't know where their health was. So it's just, we always tend to put our expectations, our limitations, or whatever we're going through on other people, when it's like, it's whoever you believe in told you to be responsible for your life.
Yeah. And again, that really does. You never know what someone went through to get to where they are today. So you can't say that, this person is lazy, or this person is this, or this person is that. You have to really look at the big picture. And I wish people would be more open to doing that.
Love that. So I call myself the culture change agent, and everybody that I have on the show, I consider culture change agents in their own space. And we're talking about the culture. And if you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African American culture, what would it be and why?
I really, what I really hate to see online is, I see this online mostly because nobody in my circle does this whole light skin, dark skin thing. It really bothers me because people will say, just these comments about, I can't be with her because she's too dark, or I can't be with her because she's too light, or you only got this opportunity because you're light skinned, or you only got this opportunity because you got this texture hair, or I'm not doing this because of, we're all Black. I think that causes a divide, and I wish that we could get past that. Again, that goes back to self-hate and self-love and cultural, and projections, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why that happens. But I wish that we could get past that whole I wish we could get past that. I hate that.
Yeah, that's a bigger conversation. I think it's been, luckily I watched the Netflix documentary on color skin, and it's so, but the thing is, it's so ingrained into your culture growing up that it's hard to avoid. Even myself, like there was a while where I only talked to light skinned girls. I only did. I didn't even see the beauty in dark skin. That's growing up. So don't, my dark skinned people that's following, I'm dark skinned as well. Do not be like, yo, this dude G Hill done jumped off the cliff. No, it's not. That was when I was young. I was in high school. Relax. I said Jay-Z had the line like, he said, what did Jay-Z say? I'm winning, my gear is in and I'm in the crowd and all the wavy light skinned girls is loving me now. Like all the subconscious stuff you saw in music videos and whatnot. I was a product of that era. It's like, that's what it was. But now I see the beauty in a lot of different things, and I'm not as typecast, but I think that is just so real. Even how we raise our children, even how we speak, it's just it's so deep. God, life is just too deep, man. That's why it's all vanity anyways, but that's neither here nor there. Man, this has been it does not even feel, but we've been on this line for an hour and 40 minutes. Like, it's been a wonderful listen. I know when people are listening to this podcast, and I get it all the time, they're like, yo, G, you record some outrageously long podcasts, but it never feels like it's really how it is. Like, I had a podcast that was 2 hours and 30 minutes, like the Titanic length, but people listen all the way through. I don't know how. I just praise God. I don't know how.
It'd be interesting conversations. It'd be very organic, and I think that's why people want to tune in, is because you don't hear that very often. So staged. Everything's so staged now. You just have listen to it. It's rare you listen in on this natural flowing conversation. So,
but do you? And as we close, is that scary? Because me on the online space, I think it's scary though, because we live, in order to kind of grow your brand, you do have to market it in such a way. And I always try to have that balance between like chill, trying to grow and build on an online perspective, but also still like live, because I don't want to be too like manufactured in a way where everything has to look perfect. And it's probably a better question for you, because I mean, all your posts online are meticulously done. I mean, they look flawless for the most part. So how do you straddle between, I guess probably in your writing, but how do you straddle between still having that image but not being so turning life into a brand? Well, I know branding is important, but you're still life. This is who you are, and a lot of people don't match up to who they brand. But that's a whole other conversation another day. But
yeah, thanks. No, thank you. I honestly, I think consistency is more important than perfection and the staging. And I think that I do, not every picture I take is with it's not from the photographer or my professional camera or anything like that.
98% of them are.
Say that again?
I said about 98% of them are.
No, but I think you have to go out and show yourself really doing things, like real things. Like I've posted pictures of me at a farm or out at parties with other people, or especially through Insta stories. On Insta stories with no makeup on, talking about X, Y, and Z. I think that when you show real, less stage stuff, and then just like this conversation here, it's been pretty organic and flowing, and I've said a lot of you know what I mean? Like, I think you just have to be genuine and show things that everyday people do. I show myself going to the grocery store on Insta stories, what I'm shopping for, where people can get it. I think that humanizes you. You always have to humanize yourself. And then also, I try to incorporate little stories about myself into my writing. You're right. So I'll give you an example. When I did that cereal post, that It's Not You, It's Your Cereal, I talked about how I used to eat cereal, breakfast, snack, and dessert. And a lot of people can relate to that, because a lot of people do that, like especially when you're in college. So I think just weaving in your personal stories into your posts really helps. That helps in the captions as well. And that's going to translate ultimately in your photos. So
I love that. On that note, where can the Minority Trailblazer audience and those that have tuned into this podcast find more information about you, what you do, the products you like, the products you don't like, your story, all that good stuff? Where are you at on social media? Where are you at online? Where can we find you?
Yeah, my blog, it's thatschelsea.com. So THATS, and then Chelsea is spelled CHELSEA. That's Chelsea.com. You can find me on Instagram at That's Chelsea. Pretty much everywhere at That's Chelsea. Except on Twitter. Twitter, it's hi, that's Chelsea.
Love that. Love that. Audience, all the wonderful links, products, people that she said on the line will be in the show notes. I've never had this difficult of a job. I can already tell finding and getting all these links is going to take me a long time, but
I can gather them for you.
we're fine. But we're going to have all that good stuff on the show notes. And I definitely want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and from Minority Trailblazers' heart for giving us your time, a lot of your resources, your tools, techniques, your story, and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all who tuned in and listened. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Yeah. And Minority Trailblazer Nation, that's a wrap. Out in 30 minutes in the book. I guarantee, or at least I hope you learned something from this show. And as we close out, remember, leave a review if you have not. We are stuck on 150. Let's get to 200 by next week. I don't know where we're going to get it from. We had over 200,000 downloads and we got 150 reviews. And I got many more messages about how dope the show is. And we still got 150 reviews. So if you got an iPhone, please leave a review. Share it with a friend. Number 2, make sure you go to minoritytrailblazer.com, register to get more information about the conference. Remember, it's minoritytrailblazer.com to learn more about the Minority Trailblazer Conference happening in March 2018. Also, check me out on YouTube, Greg Hill TV, weekly updates about everything in the life of G. That's going to hopefully encourage and empower. And also, Snap me, Instagram me, Facebook me, all that stuff at Greggy Hill. Make sure you check out Chelsea Williams' store. Buy some products, show a love, reach out. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. So, you know how we end. I got 3 things for you. Change for freaking culture. Good night.